Welcome to week 4 of the Ketogenic diet review. Um, this week was a little strange for me. So I guess I'll start off. I lost about 3.5 pounds this week, so that brings the total weight loss in 4 weeks to 31 pounds. I just wanted to experiment with a lot of things this week, which is kind of what I did. So some stuff was good and some of the other stuff was not so great. One of the things that I started doing was I started putting protein powder in my coffee. So I would blend the coffee with 2 ounces of butter, 2 tablespoons, or sorry, 1 ounce of butter, just 2 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and then a scoop of the protein powder. It looked good on paper, and I thought it was going to be like a game changer, especially because it tastes really good. I got Alex and Richard from the NFL Radio were drinking it, and they seemed to like it a lot, and they're deeply disturbed by my butter drinking habits prior to trying it with the protein. So it tasted really good. It tasted like a mocha, the cappuccino thing. The problem, I believe, was that it was too much protein. And early on in the week, I started doing that like on Monday, maybe even Sunday. I started doing that, and I believe that I kind of stalled the ketosis that I was in. And I stopped doing the butter on Wednesday. And just in the last 2 days, I'd had more weight loss than basically the entire week. And I was using the keto stick still, and it was showing very, very trace amounts of ketones. So anybody that wants to catch up on this, watch video 1 and 2 and 3 even. Kind of talk briefly, especially in 1 and 2 I talk about ketosis, so all that will make sense. If you haven't caught those, you'll understand what ketones are and all that good stuff. But I don't know exactly what the threshold is for staying in ketosis, because it's not really documented. They just say moderate amounts of protein. So, I mean, that varies from person to person. I thought I was eating a moderate amount of protein compared to what I was eating before, but I think that was over what I should have been eating these last really 3 days, I think it was. I've kept protein at under 100 grams, and I started noticing the keto sticks getting darker. So I believe that played a big role in why I didn't lose quite as much weight. But still, in 4 weeks, I'm down, I think it was 33 pounds. So that's pretty substantial for 4 weeks. Like I said before, I'm still not working out. I can't work out because of my back. So this is strictly from a dieting standpoint. So I mean, that's pretty exciting to me. I mean, that shows that there's definitely something to this. I'm curious to see what's going to happen over the next month. I'm going to continue to do it. I was thinking about maybe only doing it for a short period of time, but I actually like it, and it's very intriguing to me. I don't have the answers, and I really, really like things that I don't have the answers to. I really like trying to find out the answers to things, so I want to see where this takes me. So I'm going to continue with this another month at least. Curious to see what kind of results we get in week 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this week also I wanted to try out a few of the recipes for what they call fat bombs, which are, I mean, some are just literally that, fat bombs. Some are meant to mimic treats. Like they had one of the ones I was really excited about was they call it keto. Everything's called keto. They had a keto brownie base and a keto cream cheese top. So it was like like a cheesecake, but the crust was a keto brownie. I've seen pictures of it, and it looked pretty awesome. I went to go and buy the ingredients to make that, and it was gonna be like $70-something to get everything I needed to make a little fucking cheesecake. So I did not make that. What I made instead were these, they're supposed to be like Reese's Bites, like little I made it actually in an ice tray because I don't have a fancy ass, like, you know, chocolatier tray. So I just used an ice tray, and basically I blended, I think it was a cup of organic natural peanut butter with a cup of coconut oil, and you just put it in a little saucepan and you kind of let it melt together. And then I added organic agave, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's basically the shit they make tequila from, but it's really sweet in its natural form. So I added some of that, and then some vanilla extract and some unsweetened cocoa powder, and you mix all that together. And if you try it in that form, it's pretty disgusting. But then you're supposed to put it in like a little chocolatier tray. Like I said, I used an ice tray, put it in there, let it get cool, and then you can eat them like little bite-sized treats. You really should only have like maybe one or so, because the carb contents on those are a little surprisingly high, but compared to other chocolate treats you can eat, it's relatively good. So I tried that. That was pretty decent. I've also been experimenting a little bit with different meals, and I found 2 salads that I'm really enjoying. I've eaten them. One I've eaten 3 times this week, and one I only ate the once, but I plan to eat it again. One was like my take on like bar food, I guess you could say, like chicken wings. I got the inspiration from like buffalo chicken wings, and you know how they give you the little dip with the blue cheese, and you dip your little fucking celery in there. So what I did was I made a salad, and I used blue cheese crumbles, blue cheese dressing, and I melted the unsalted Kerrygold Irish butter with just a fucking shit ton of Frank's Red Hot. And then I took chicken breasts and cut them into little pieces, soaked it in that, and then I put that on the salad, and that was pretty awesome. And then the other salad I've been doing is just chicken with blue cheese, bacon, and blue cheese dressing, blue cheese crumbles on both, and just like a creamy blue cheese dressing. I like it that way better, so that's the way I do it. It's really good. It's actually not that high in calories in comparison to other salads. This is a funny thing that I've come to realize too, is I think people have this fear. I may have talked about it in the first video, but I think people have this irrational fear of fat. Like they see fat as being this demon thing and this terrible thing, and so they eat healthier versions like a Caesar salad. And when you compare some of these other meals calorie wise to the shit you have in a Caesar salad, it's insane, man. Like the calories are relatively low. Like I had a big ass salad and it was like 800 calories. I mean, it was big. I had bacon on there, I had chicken, ton of chicken. I think I was like eating 9 ounces. I think that's a good figure. I get enough protein without getting kicked out. Like I said, I'm trying to keep the protein. Now I'm trying to keep it under 100. I really like protein, man. I feel like my body feels good when I consume a lot of protein. But that may be one of those archaic things, something that was kind of just like instilled upon my head. I grew up in an era where, you know, basically if you want to get big and you want to get in shape, you take as much protein as your body will let you. I mean, I don't know if younger kids have the images vividly seared in their brain, but I know anybody, you know, my age or older, we all grew up with images of the action hero taking the raw eggs, throwing that shit in a cup and just fucking consuming like 12 dozen raw eggs. So for us, protein was really like instilled on us, and that's probably like the first supplement I ever bought when I started going to the gym was a good protein. And I still enjoy protein, but it may be one of those things where it's not quite as necessary as we've been led to believe. And I didn't really want to accept that because I've been a big fan of protein. I still am a big fan of protein for, you know, decades, over a decade easily, you know. And so it was kind of hard for me to accept a little bit. No, it was hard for me to accept the fact that maybe I don't need quite as much protein as I believed before. I used to take so many scoops of this protein, and I started really examining, what am I trying to do here, you know? And the whole point of this was to really experiment with ketosis. And, you know, I feel like perhaps the high levels of protein I was consuming was interfering with that, and I couldn't get it out of my head that if I didn't eat enough protein while on this type of diet, that I would start to lose muscle mass, and that's always been a bit of a fear of mine. So it really made me face that a little bit and kick out some of the protein. I did good actually the first 2 weeks, which is why I think I lost so much weight. And the keto strips were showing the ketone levels were real high. And then slowly, you know, I got like maybe too cocky about it or too confident. I started upping levels of protein, and I think like I had talked about it before, like the week before, one of the days I had 270 grams of protein in one day, and that kicked me out. It stalled it. The next day I was back in ketosis, but that was definitely a stall for me. So I'm trying to experiment now with the lower levels of protein and trying to see where that takes me, and if that's gonna help a bit. My voice sounds a little hoarse right now, or sounds like it does to me, but that's partly because I'm tired. I'm doing this video pretty late. I really wanted to get it up today, but I just didn't have time to get in here and do this earlier. So, but I only mention that because I think for the first 3 weeks I was a bit sick. I felt pretty beat down. My throat constantly felt like it was closing, and it was real red on the inside. And then I was getting some phlegm and stuff. I kept reading this thing. I don't know if I ever really fully went into that, but there's this thing that, like an occurrence, I guess you can call it, that I had read about. When you first cut out carbs, your body kind of goes through like a reboot phase, and there's a couple different side effects I had heard of. One was like I forget what it's called, but it's like acetone breath, which is one of the indicators that you're in ketosis. Your breath starts to smell like acetone. Anybody with wives or girlfriends or sisters knows that's nail polish removal. Apparently one of the byproducts of ketosis, your body creates something called acetodates or some shit like that, and it's basically like an organic form of acetone in a sense. So you can get breath that can actually start to smell like that a little bit, like I don't know, I never developed that. But then another occurrence, which is another sign that you've entered like full-fledged ketosis, is the keto flu, which is supposed to mimic the flu pretty substantially. I don't know if I had that. I'm better now, finally. Like I said, my voice only sounds a little hoarse because I'm a little tired and it's a little late, but I got over whatever I had probably early beginning of this week. I started to feel better. I couldn't take anything, man. See, that's one of the things that sucks when if you're going to be serious about going into low carb. The keto sticks help. A lot of people talk shit about them and say they're not reliable, but to be honest with you, they help me. I mean, they help me stay on track of it and have some sort of marker to be able to dictate where I'm at and how I'm doing. And you know, they can fluctuate. If you don't have enough water, you're going to be darker. If you drink too much water, you're going to be lighter. Also, I've noticed, depending on how fatty your last meal was, like a salad meal doesn't give me as much of a levels than if I have like my butter coffee. That'll shoot me through the roof just because of the amount of fat in there. But I like them. You know, that's the point. I like them. They give me something to gauge where I'm at, and it makes it a little easier for me to keep track of things. But you know, with that said, there's a lot of things that you can't take, and I rely a little bit on the keto sticks, but mostly I rely on this magical thing called Google, and I literally just Google either keto, which that's kind of the trick. You know, it's obviously ketosis, keto, but that's kind of the trick. Anything to do with ketosis, anything, you know, desserts or protein shake. If you put keto before the word, you're gonna find a whole bunch of shit about that product, which is keto friendly. And so I would do that. And I think I talked about it in the video too. When I first started really feeling sick, I took NyQuil, and I'm a fan of NyQuil. I like it. It helps me when I'm sick. And I think it was like 20-something grams of carbohydrates in that bitch, and just one serving. And imagine you take that a couple times a day, you're fucked, man. Like I only have 30 grams of carbohydrates in an entire day. So if you take that 4 times a day or 3 times a day, like you're twice over what you're supposed to consume in an entire day, and you haven't even eaten any real food. So I started looking into other things. Towards the end, when I was already feeling a little bit better, I came across, also for anyone, if you talk to healthcare professionals or pharmacists, one, they're gonna not know what the fuck you're talking about. Two, they're gonna think you're really crazy because they're gonna confuse ketosis with ketoacidosis, which is a condition diabetics get when the ketones get too high, dangerously high, and it can have negative side effects. And one of the most severe one is you can go into a coma. But I only mention that to say that condition only occurs with people that have severe diabetes. I forget which type it is because I'm not diabetic, no disrespect, but it's not something anybody that's not diabetic has to worry about. And even what I read, even if you are diabetic, you can still do a ketosis diet, but with that you really got to work with your healthcare professional because they're a little more understanding of how to go about doing that. But one of the things, the third thing is, if you tell anybody, they're going to think you're diabetic. So I got most of the pharmacists in my area think I have diabetes, and I'm trying to cover it because when I was looking into like the blood tester, it's the same blood tester that diabetics use. I finally found a cough medicine to help me out a little bit, and the cough medicine is literally called a diabetic tessin. So it's like Robitussin, but diabetic tessin, and it has no carbs and it has no sugar, and it doesn't really work, to be honest with you. I mean, at least not for me. I don't feel like it did shit. Whenever I take NyQuil, DayQuil, I always feel almost immediately better, and then the cold will come back and you got to take the medicine again. But with the diabetic testin, I didn't really feel anything, so I ended up gargling. My wife forced me to at gunpoint, basically. Not really at gunpoint, but she forced me to gargle hot water and salt, and that helped. Actually, that helped a lot because that night I was feeling better, and then the next day I did it again, and that knocked out whatever was wrong with me. So I don't really know. I still don't know if that was keto flu or if that was regular flu. But I'm glad that that's behind me because that lasted an insane amount of time, 2.5 weeks or so. So it was not fun at all. But I mean, that's kind of it that I have to talk about this weekend. Nothing really too exciting. I'm getting really used to this diet, so nothing really amazes me anymore. The weight loss was slightly disappointing, but like I said from the beginning, I'm not trying to get so caught up in just the sheer numbers game. I feel like that's a recipe for failure. So I'm trying not to get caught up in the numbers game with this. I'm just trying to see overall if this seems to be a good thing or not. And so far I enjoy it, but like I said, it may be a little bit early to tell exactly. Sorry, my plug came undone and my laptop may die. Now it's back to life. It may be a little early to tell exactly how effective this diet is going to be long term, because the whole point, if you're going to restrict all these carbs, obviously, is you want your body to use your own fat source as basically as a fuel supply. 2 pounds, 3 pounds a week is great, but you could seriously do that relatively easy, still consuming carbs. So that kind of defeats the point. You know what I mean? You can just do a moderate carb diet, and in all honesty, you could probably still lose 2 or 3 pounds. But like I said, I threw myself out of it early this week, so just have to watch the amount of protein I eat and see what happens in the next week. If that number jumps again, then we'll know that that's why. If it stalls like it's been, then maybe that's kind of it for the power of the ketosis. Maybe for whatever reason, maybe my body's rejecting it, or maybe this is just how it is. Maybe you get an initial boost, and then after that you just get moderate weight loss. I really don't know the answer to these questions, so these are things I'm going to look for in the following week. May try a couple other little meals. There's a few things that I've been looking at, so I may try some other things. Definitely not going to spend $80 to make a cheesecake. So if somebody else out there can make it, let me know if it's awesome. Send me a slice in the mail, because I'm not doing it. But those, I may try some different recipes for different fat bombs. There's a couple different ones out there. This one was, like I said, because of the peanut butter and the unsweetened cocoa. This was supposed to be like the Reese's, you know, recipe. But there's different ones, so I may try another one. There's also a ton of recipes like to make pizza and stuff. But like I said, it kind of falls into, and I'm not a great cook, you know. I really rely on my wife to stop me from starving to death most days. But there's a lot of recipes out there to make like keto pizza and different things, but it requires a lot of specialized things. Like instead of flour, you use almond powder, which is basically almonds that have been ground into a powder, and you can cook with them allegedly in the same manner you can flour. But I haven't tried any of that, so I may try one of those recipes this coming week. I'd probably try another fat bomb recipe. I'm gonna force Alex to eat some fat bomb live on Sunday, so you guys can listen to that, watch the video, see his reaction. He'll let you know if it sucks. I'm so used to eating so much coconut oil and fucking fats that, you know, tastes good to me. I like it, but you know, all I've been living off of these last 4 weeks is very high levels of fat and coconut oil and stuff. So I'm just I'm becoming immune to it. But I think that's about it. That's all I wanted to really cover for this video. Not too much going on this week, but hopefully I'll try to do some stuff next week to give just some new information and maybe some different things we tried, to try to keep it fresh and fun, and that way we can keep examining different things. But I guess the good takeaway for this one is anyone interested in trying this, for me personally, the high levels of protein, it doesn't go. And like I said, they don't give any specification on like a grams, like eat 90 grams or under. So for me, I'm keeping it under 100, and I'm pretty good in the keto sticks. I'm pretty well into ketosis. So that's a good sign. If you're a woman or you're a lighter man than I am, 90 grams may be too much for you. So I don't know what that number is, man. Like there's no set number, and that's a little frustrating. The breakdown of 70, 25, 5, I was following that. But even that 25, man, I could stay at 25 and I could push, you know, fucking north of 150, 160, 170 grams of protein. But that was messing up the ketosis, man. Like I really think you got to stay under 100. I don't know what that's going to look like as far as like my macros. That may mean my macros are now going to be like 80, 15, 5. I also don't typically eat 5% carbohydrates. Like today, my carbohydrates, I only had 8 grams of carbohydrates the whole day, just because I'm trying to really restrict the carbohydrates. So just something to keep in mind, something to think about if you're thinking about going on this journey. Watch out for your protein intake. We'll do another video next week like we do every week. Try to get some different things out there. I don't really want to experiment too much. It's a little disappointing to restrict your carbs to this point and then see weight loss that you feel like is just not a good indicator of like where it should be. And like I said, it's not about weight loss, but that's the indicator that your body is consuming your fat stores, and that's the goal, man. Like we wouldn't be in ketosis if we weren't trying to reach that end game. And I would get it if I had like, you know, 14% body fat. Obviously that weight loss is going to stall, but I have substantially more body fat than that, so I have more than enough body fat where I should be still losing higher numbers than I am now. So we're going to experiment with that next week. I'm going to really limit the amount of protein I intake. I'm going to try to break myself of this old, you know, mental barrier that I have about like eating high levels of protein. So we're going to break that down a little bit, stay under 100 grams, and then just see if we get the weight loss in the numbers. And if we do, then we'll know for sure like that's where we're at. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap this up. I don't know exactly what type of things I'm going to try for next week, but I'll do some research, try some things, and report back to you. As always, thank you for listening. Your feedback, questions, comments, answers. If you have answers, I always, I just have a bunch of questions. I don't really have much answers in life, man. I just try to ask the right questions. So if you got answers, let me know. But your feedback is always appreciated. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.